Go ahead, Greg.
Good morning, Glenn. Mega kudos to you. How does it feel to make someone else shoot blood out their eyes for a change?
You know, it was surprising. I asked everybody to look up all the transcripts of all of the interviews that this man had done and find out what law had been broken. And we found out no one in the media had even ever asked him that question. And I looked at one of my researchers and I said, no. I mean, there is a law, isn't there? And he just looked at me and smiled and said, I don't think so, Glenn. And I couldn't believe the arrogance. There's no law that he was defending. None.
Yeah, well, you stumped him for good.
Yeah, it actually felt pretty good. Greg, I thank you for your call. Let me play back the interview in case you missed it. This is the Attorney General of Connecticut, who is now, I'm sure, got his SS boots on, and he's going, no, I'm just saying you're right, Stu. He's not checking any of my records, or nobody ran me through a data bank, and they didn't do it to Joe the plumber either. Sure. So here's Richard Blumenthal last night on the program. I started with AIG gave Chris Dodd all kinds of money. AIG executives said, hey, we got to give him because he's probably going to be the head of the banking committee and he's very powerful. So give. And they all gave. And I wondered if Richard Blumenthal was going to go after another resident in his state that took money from out of state. Not just the AIG executives, but Christopher Dodd. And here's what happened.
Are you going to demand that Chris Dodd returns his money?
Well, Chris Dodd is returning the money on his own. I think he probably regrets having taken it.
Right. But if he didn't, would you demand it? If he didn't? I would
ask him to do it. I think it's appropriate that he do it.
Right.
But the other question is, why did Congress approve all of these bonuses, which the entire Congress did, not just one senator?
Sure.
And why did the Federal Reserve
kicking dirt
enable it to
are
go
you
forward?
asking,
why isn't it taking action?
Are you going after Chris Dodd for writing that in?
I have asked that the Federal Reserve block these bonuses, which I think...
Stop for a second. You must see this video. Can we post this or put this in the newsletter today? You have to see this video because this is where he starts to look like a deer in the headlights. Did you see it last night, Stu?
Yes, I did.
Okay. When I asked him, did you ask? He knew, and he pauses. So when you're hearing the pauses, just put the big light, the big headlight eyes in there, like, every time you hear a pause, just have that face in your mind, like, oh crap. So go ahead. I asked him about Chris Dodd and if he was going to go after. Go ahead.
No, I'm asking you about Congress. I'm asking you about Chris Dodd because he lives in the great state of Connecticut. Are you going after him?
We don't have the power to investigate, nor does any attorney general, a federal official.
Well, no, but he's a resident in your state.
For the Congress.
Wait a minute, he's a resident in your state.
He is a resident of the state, but he is a federal official.
Oh.
And no attorney general has the jurisdiction.
Because it's in Washington, you can't do anything about it. Kind of like if there's an AIG contract in New York, you really don't have any place.
The AIG bonuses were paid in Connecticut.
From a contract that's honored in New York.
That they be repaid.
Stop for a second. Now, listen to what he's saying. What he's saying is, I can't go after Christopher Dodd and ask him, even though he took money from AIG, it didn't go to Washington. It went to Chris Dodd's headquarters in Connecticut. So the money crossed state lines and came into Connecticut. He can't go after him because he doesn't have jurisdiction. He can't do anything on a federal case against a federal representative. Okay? He can't do it. He doesn't have jurisdiction. He'd like to, but he can't. Okay. When I say about the AIG, just like the AIG, well, no, that was paid in Connecticut. No, the checks were issued in New York. The contract is New York, but the money came across state lines, kind of like the AIG money. In fact, it's coming from the same source. Isn't that weird? It's coming from the same source and coming across state lines, but you don't have jurisdiction there. But you somehow or another do? What is the law that applies here to one and not the other?
You know, the one thing, I was going through the interviews with you, and nobody's asked this question, and I'm just dying to know, and I know you'll have the answer. What law did the AIG executives break when they took those bonuses that were mandated by a legal contract?
The AIG executives did not themselves break a contract.
So then why were you going after them?
Well, we're not going after them.
No, you were.
We're going after the bonuses.
Yeah, well, it's their bonuses.
We're never going after the...
No, their bonuses.
Excuse me, stop for a second. They were going after, remember, what he's trying to do now is, we weren't going after the people. We were going after the money. We were going after the bonuses. Well, oh, I'm sorry, did you yell at the check? Don't cash yourself! Is that what you were doing? You weren't yelling at the checks. Who had the bonus? The people did. No, we weren't going after the people. We were going after the bonuses. You're obscene, you little dirty $165,000 check. You should be ashamed of yourself. By the way, you are holding the check. I love you. You're spot on. You're a dirtbag, you little piece of paper. Look at the way you're dressed, you little check whore. Yeah, that's exactly what he was doing. So he's not going after the people. He's going after the bonuses.
They are their bonuses. They earned that money. What law did they break that gave you the ability in Connecticut to go after those bonuses?
Well, let's take it one step at a time. The money they received came from us, the taxpayers.
Oh, I know how this works. I'm asking you, sir, you're the Attorney General. I'm asking you for the law that they broke that gave you the ability. Are you not the defender of the law in Connecticut?
The law that they broke is the law that requires that they serve the public interest, that bonuses,
what law is that?
Are paid.
Wait, what law is that, sir? You're the chief law enforcement officer. What law is, say that again, I don't recognize that law. It sounds like a good policy, it sounds like a good rule of thumb, but I'm not sure I recognize that law. Could you give that to me again?
Well, you know, again, these funds belong to us, the taxpayers.
No, sir. Sir, look, you know what you've done? You know what you've done? You are an insult to George Washington, sir. George Washington made it very clear that we are a respecter of laws, not of men. For your own political gain, you have decided to go after these people at AIG because it is a popular thing. And while I may agree with you that it is obscene, I would like to know, sir, not what's right as a rule of thumb, not what makes us feel good. You, sir, are to protect people and to stand for the law in Connecticut. So again, I ask you, sir, what law gave you the right to go after them? What law did they break?
Well, I think you're wrong in the basic premise. We're not going after any individual. We're asking the United
as the
States.
Attorney General.
Let me finish. You have to let me finish if you want to know what law I'm talking about. We're asking the United States of America, our federal government, to ask that this money be returned or pursue it because they were undeserving of it. Now, I'm not enforcing a law against them. They were undeserving of it.
What right do you have to say the people that worked for $1 a year, sir?
Stop. How dare you? This just makes my blood boil. How dare you? There is a contract. There is a contract. Just as I have a contract with my mortgage company, and I am required by law, and if I don't honor my contract with my mortgage company, these weasels will send the sheriff out to kick me and my family out of the house. Well, they didn't deserve it. These banking people, they didn't deserve to have my mortgage. They aren't very good. Look how much trouble they're in. No, I have a contract. And so I honor that contract. Because if we don't honor the contracts, then all of society breaks down.